Look what I just got. Aside from being somebody who just enjoys and appreciates postcards for a variety of reasons, I'm also what is sometimes lovingly and most times unlovingly referred to as a reseller. I buy and sell various items, postcards being one of them. And this lot that you're looking at was 24 pounds of vintage postcards. So what I did was I purchased this lot of 24 pounds for $290 on eBay. When I got it, I sorted through all of them, and what you're looking at here is what I pulled out because I believe that they have standalone value, either to be sold individually or in small lots. What I was left with was right around 22 pounds of postcards. I turned around and resold this lot for $275 plus $33 of shipping, which it's probably not going to cost that much. All in, I basically bought this and turned around and sold this for the same amount that I paid for it. So all of this was free to me. And this is the stuff that I'm going to go through and show you in this video, and you can tell me how you think I did. In my opinion, we have somewhere around $1,000, but probably much more than that in value in these cards, specifically with a few. I have a few Halloween postcards, a few Santa Claus postcards, and various ones. So let's get into it. Everything I'm going to show you, I've already sort of sorted into different categories of the content. And what you're looking at here are a variety of older postcards that are focused on Japan. So you've got various scenes. Some of these are like World War I era, all the way up to World War II. And it gives an interesting view of kind of people and places and scenes of Japan. Like this, for example, you've got kind of this nice manicured area here, and you've got a couple of ladies standing here posing for the photo. Pretty cool. These are not the kind that I would say have standalone value necessarily, but someone who, because there's nothing terribly unique, these aren't real picture postcards, but somebody who collects stuff from Japan or is interested in Japanese photography or postcards, this would be a lot for them. So I've got something around 10 to 12 postcards here. This will be sold in a lot. This is a stack of linen postcards, and you can see the striations in here. This has got threads of linen. That's why they call them linen postcards. And all of these were made specifically for the Golden Gate International Exposition in San Francisco that happened in 1939. These are all basically mint condition, pristine condition. They're unposted, and you can see the corners are all intact. There's not really much wear at all. So as far as condition is concerned, this is a really good find. Now, none of these cards are terribly rare. There were several of them made. But to find them in a group like this and in this condition is not as common because they're all in really good shape. The colors are really vibrant, and you're seeing a lot of the views of different areas that were constructed and built specifically for this event. A couple of years ago, I bought a scrapbook, and in the scrapbook, it had a lot of these, also in really good condition. It was from a family that took a vacation out, like across the Midwest, all the way to the West Coast to go to this, and it included a lot of postcards from this event, but it also included things like ticket stubs and parking receipts and napkins and hotel flyers and various like maps of national parks and different things. And it was a really cool thing, like a group of things to see what a family did with, on a vacation to go out and do this. So these There are certainly ones here I could sell individually, because a person who maybe is trying to collect, let's say, all of the postcards from this particular event might be missing a few, and I might have a handful that, this was a part of the World's Fair, and you can see this is like Treasure Island. There were various things set up for different exhibits in different areas, and so this is from the Chinese village. And it's got a pre like kind of printed message on here, and it talks about what this is like the Princess Derling Pavilion. So again, I will probably sell these in a group or 2 small lots for someone who would want this specific thing. This section is not really sorted very well, but I'm going to go through it anyways. These are just a handful of. There's a variety of holiday cards. These are like Christmas cards. They're all similar. Actually, it's 2 different sets of duplicates, but the condition is really, really good, as you can see. And then we got some others. These are just kind of general holiday ones. Here's one for President's Day, which is, a holiday you find cards for, but they're not as common. And we've got some also that are clearly from, were printed in another country. A lot of these old postcards were printed in Germany, in Dresden, which was pretty much destroyed. All those factories were destroyed during the bombing of Dresden. Here's a memorial for a naval cemetery. And so we got a variety of things. Here are some that are like just different messages. Some of them are generic, kind of like, basically saying, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. How you doing? Was thinking of you. And then we've got, again, some kind of, people and places. That's a place. Here's a group of the Neptune VFA. So this is some sort of like a fraternal type of a group with a bunch of men. I don't know if these are firefighters. I don't know what it is, but he's holding some sort of something there in the front, or those are horns of some kind, but really cool. This goes with, this would be like a series, like postcards that make a picture when you put multiple ones together. So this is a fish. There'd be like a head over here and the tail on this side. And so 3 postcards together create a story or a message, and also completes a picture. These 2 are of hospital beds, and this is hospitals. They're bathhouses rather. Where people would come and they would take these, they get in a bath, and then they would wrap themselves up in these, it's almost like a resort or a spa type situation, wrap themselves in these large blankets, and you can see they're sitting down in these tanks of water, or maybe steam tanks. So it's really interesting. You see the men and the women. We've got 2 or 3 of these cards that are all with these pennants that have different messages, but they're kind of like greetings, but these are focused on Chicago, and I've come across several of these from different cities around the country. Some of these involve or incorporate like a Dutch person with like a purposely incorrectly spelled message. It's really strange. Here's one that's fishing focused, but still has that pennant. These are interesting because they have this American Red Cross sort of sticker on here from 1908, but that's a Christmas-oriented postcard. Here's, some early humor, early training. It's a girl, supposedly training a boy as if he's a pet. Several of these kind of like Edwardian or Victorian era costume, these would have been pieces of art created, and you've got the artist signature here, but then put on postcards. This one's supposed to represent March. There may have been one for every month of the year. Greeting cards, again, and some of these are nice, like this could be a Valentine-based card, or maybe it's just for the artwork itself. From South Dakota. Here's a Take a Flying Trip. Some of these ones that incorporate balloons or hot air balloons or dirigibles can have some good value. Here's an example of an early leather postcard. Yes, they made postcards on leather. Don't be a sucker all your life. So this is, I don't know if this is like a temperance-based one, like kind of like warnings against alcohol or what that is. Here's another one with the 1908 American Cross. These were likely sent maybe by people in the military back home when they were off during World War I. Little telegram one. And then we have some what they would consider Black Americana, oftentimes depictions of African Americans in either what at the time would have been viewed as a humorous situation. Yeah, this is an interesting, the gamblers, like a couple of kids here playing checkers or some sort of little game. And then this is just like representations of people picking cotton. And, like it or not, this is our history. We enslaved people and they worked, and it's not uncommon to find representations of a very different cultural norm, a very different cultural acceptance of life, of people. A coon, trees, opossum, in Dixieland. It's just like incredibly insensitive at the least and pretty heavily racist by today's standards as well. And yet these are the types of things people bought and sent to their family and friends. They thought it was funny. Just a very different world back then. In some ways the same world that we live in. But here's a school for the deaf. Here is kind of an ad, almost advertisement for this machine that you could get stamps and things from, which is interesting. Boca, California, with snow all over the ground. Here's like an old amusement park. And some of these, I pulled these out because there are collector groups for all of these. There are people who are interested in all of these different types of subjects. A very large old tree. Here's another leather postcard you can see on the back here. This one's postmarked 1906. Pressing engagement. There are a lot that have to do with men and women, pseudo-romantic kind of based, two good hands to hold. It's the humor, right? Like the jokes and the way that they're written out sometimes seem pretty offensive and or downright like you just don't even understand what they're getting at. But again, I think it's an interesting window into our past. Here we have a woman with a bunch of fish. Here's an example of what I was talking about. This would be considered, probably good for Valentine's Day or things, but it's kids in a hot air balloon, but the balloon is shaped like a heart. It's very colorful, like it's well composed. This is a cool little piece that has like photographs and then also a message written on it. So this postcard would have gone out. It's incredible that this has stayed intact all these years. And then these are fun, like a series of sort of bizarre pictures of women with babies, all in the water. Here I got babies in baskets. Here's I'm going to go fishing, but I'm carrying my babies in my basket, or I'm fishing for babies. I'm getting all these babies out of the water. I don't know where these babies came from, but they are everywhere. Some more Christmas stuff. Here's a thing that tickles our funny bone. Mr. Bullfrog croaked last night. Croaked as a double entendre, croaked as a frog, but croaked as in dying. And it's very, look at that. Monkey is tickling that clown's elbow. Another one with the Red Cross. I'll probably sell all those together and highlight that. It's like a Coca-Cola, someone who is interested in Coca-Cola or, highway-based postcards. And then a prayer card for China, which is also kind of unusual. I don't see that very often. It's a small stack of what they call real picture postcards. This paper is photograph paper, so it would have been blank. People would have taken photographs on a camera that they had at home, most likely a Kodak Model 3A, which came out in 1902 and gave everybody the ability to take photos that were designed to be perfectly on the size and shape of a postcard. They would send it off, and in a dark room, a person would expose those negatives, those images, on this photo paper that was pre-printed on the back to have the space to send it as a postcard. So people would take pictures of their life and send it to their friends and family. And here's an example. It's just a man with a couple people on horses. I don't know what's going on there, but somebody thought it was important to photograph it. Here is a view probably used as like maybe an advertisement or something at the Hakone Hotel. I'm guessing that's Hawaii, but I don't know for sure. They probably would have got it. This might have been for sale like in the gift shop or where you buy concessions and things. Here's one. Let me flip these around because I think I have them upside down. Here's one of some men who are logging, and you can see there's a gentleman right here in the middle, and then another one right there, and they're cutting down trees. They got these large saws, and they're cutting down trees. Here's one of a firefighter right here, and he is shooting a large stream of water from this long hose out. It's very, very interesting. This is a real picture postcard of Moraine Lake, which is, I believe, at a national park. I don't know if this is Glacier or Banff or what this is. Banff. There it is. Beautiful, beautiful picture. Really cool, real picture there. This is a photograph, and I'm sorry to say this is like very, very harsh and really rough, but you never know what you're going to come across. This is actually a scene, folks, of men being hung for crimes during World War I. And I'm assuming that this is probably in either France. I believe this is in France or probably the edge of the border of France. You've got a large group of people who have come together to watch a public hanging. You don't see those very often. It's brutal. And it's also crazy to think that people wanted to send that photograph to friends and family. That was the type of thing that people were interested in. But, you know, people have always been interested in the macabre, dark, scary things. And the same is true of 120 years ago. Here are some men in just a room. But what I find fascinating about this is just the way that it's set up. And what you can see, the little Easter eggs. You can look on the cabinet here, the dresser, and see what they have. You can see pictures and various things up above and the types of things. Cabinet cards, other postcards on this shelf, just kind of sitting there, not in frames, but like leaning across. And these are definitely, some of these are definitely postcards that they have up that they're displaying in their home. Here's a photograph of an of a tree that has snow all over it. Somebody, I don't know if maybe in this area it didn't snow that often or if they just thought it was beautiful and wanted to send to their friends and family and say, hey, look, we got a big snow. Here's another one of a lake. This is, they just said winding stream, which, by the way, when they were in the darkroom doing this, they had to write backwards the mirror image of what this would look like. That's why it kind of looks a little wonky. They were doing it backwards, like a mirror image, so that when they developed this, it would come out and you could read it correctly. And I have 2 copies of that. Actually, I have 2 copies of this, and I have 3 copies of the tree, as you can see. And some were exposed longer than others. This one seems to be exposed the longest. And these may have been like this, if you've ever spent any time in a dark room, that's sometimes what you have to do. You do your best guess as to how long you have to expose it to get the correct contrast of colors. My guess is maybe this was the first one. And they said, oh yeah, it's too light. Let's darken it a little bit. Let's expose it a little bit longer. They did this one. They said, getting close, not quite there. And then here would maybe be the final one. Also, in the middle one, but not on the other 2, they added the words winter foliage. And they even drew out a little thing, but you can see they messed up on the lettering. So that might have been part of the problem, part of the reason why they didn't do that. They thought, well, it was too much work. I didn't like the way it looked. I messed up on it. So let me do another one. And this is the final product, which is the best looking card as well because of the contrast. So I think it's kind of cool to see the process, not just the photograph itself. This one is a combination, 2 pictures of the same girl, and she's wearing, I don't know if these are like little ribbons or what, like has little ribbons in her hair, maybe tying up her hair to try to make it curl or I don't know what, I don't exactly know what the process is there, but she's got her little teddy bear. It's really cute. in both pictures, and she's sitting in her little bed. And you can see the wallpaper. It's just a neat little a view of kind of what the home decor of the time. And then this one's I see these a lot, just pictures of a schoolyard with students. The difference here is that he's holding up a sign, and it says, I think it says Broadview something, and I don't know if this is probably the name of the school, or maybe the name of the class, something like that. Really cool, unposted, but I love to see these. These are not all, like, none of these are probably terribly valuable, but I'm pretty confident that each of these could probably sell for $10 a piece if I wait for the right buyer. This is an interesting lot here. It's all of this thing called the Mystery Spot in Santa Cruz, California. And you can see a man appearing to stand at like a super strange angle. It seems to defy gravity. Here's another one. Same person. Actually, it's a different person. But standing on a thing as if he's angled the wrong direction. Here's a guy hanging from a rafter and supposedly turning the wrong way. He's holding a rope with a weight on the end of it. Actually, no, that's an arrow. That's artificial. It's the broom that he's got there. It's supposedly standing up on its own. Those are interesting. Those go probably in a group, in a lot together. Maybe this was a tourist destination, and these were, things you could go and walk around, but then you could buy the postcard for it. I'm not exactly sure. Here's a bunch of kind of, I put these together, and these are not American postcards. These are foreign postcards, as you can see on the back. But this is all scenes of recovered bodies, and even some like sitting in glass museum cases from the excavation of Pompeii, from the, I guess that's what, Vesuvius that erupted. Here's an animal. So I just thought that these were sort of bizarre, frankly, and again, macabre. The more bizarre, the stranger, the darker that the content is on these, oftentimes that translates to value. There are people who buy those. And so I put those together. I'll probably sell those as a group. Then this is some interesting, just kind of like nice quality colored postcards, all focusing on women. And this one again has, it's got good artwork, and also it's of the hot air balloon. And then you have, it looks like the French flag up here. I believe that's the French flag. I don't know that 100%. Maybe that's the Italian flag. I'm bad with remembering the flags. I apologize. Here's artwork. The artist has signed it here. A little bit of condition issues there, a little wrinkle. Same here, same artist. It looks like whoever this is. But this is a reproduction of what this piece of artwork would have been done for Cosmopolitan magazine, and then they reduced it to put. So this might have been. I'm not exactly sure where this would have been sold at. Maybe just at a regular postcard store. And then this one with a woman and a child. Really nice artwork. Again, a little condition issue there, a little wrinkle on the outside. Not too bad. But those will go. I could do those. Probably the two that are somewhere with the same artist I could sell together, and the other two individually. Here are some that were just sort of a little different. This one is you could create your own message, your own cipher message to the recipient. Here's another one. It says Australian ballot, and you can mark things like business is very poor here, or outlook is rather discouraging, or whatever you want to say, and then you can put the date. And this one already has a message. It's dated 1910. And then these are just some blank postal cards. On the back, it's not divided. And these are, These are all pre-posted, so they've stamped, instead of putting a stamp, they have been the postage has been printed on them, pre-posted, and you would buy them and then just use them. Here's another set of kind of Japanese, Oriental, this is a quarantine station in Nagasaki, so I don't know if that's post, it doesn't look like that's, well, it might be from the 40s, post the atomic bomb dropping. Here's a really nice one of a woman. You can see that it's a real photograph. It was originally a real photograph, but it has been tinted after the fact to show, you know, kind of an artificial color there. Really cool, unposted, unused. Here's another one, quite a bit older. And it says tea, if you please. And you've got an artist here. But it's a woman dressed up and with tea, and 1907 on that one. Here is the Associated Tea Guild of Shizuoka Ken, and you've got a bunch of women dressed with their fans, and you see these tea lanterns kind of at the top. Really cool image. And then we're moving on to some other foreign things. We've got some Hawaiian thing here. This is just actually a card that Postcards would have gone in. I just thought that the art looked cool. It says Cairo. This is the type of thing you could put in a picture frame by itself. If, say, you had an affinity for Egypt. And now we're back to Japan again. We've got Kyoto here. This says a row of cozy one-room bedroom tents. I don't really know why I put that one in this stack. I think we're moving on to other things. Oh, that's what this was. These are not postcards. So the other things, these came in this, and this is what's interesting. Sometimes when you buy a bunch of postcards and you go through, you're going to find other things. You're going to find die cuts. You're going to find trade cards. You might find photographs that aren't postcards. And so that's what this is. It's a thing made out of the postcard, and somebody just cut that out and put it on here. Here's this man pouring some sauce of some kind on a meal. And if you look at the back, like this is clearly an advertisement for a particular product that was cut out of probably a magazine of the time or something, but you can see this really kind of cool Art Deco design behind it, or around the edges. This is a photograph of some sort of dredging machine. I don't know where this is, but it shows a dredging machine kind of in process. But this is, oh, look at this. I didn't even look at this yet. It's from the President Coolidge. Look at that. That will help me date that a little bit. I don't remember the dates that Coolidge was president, but, you know, I'll do some research. And then here's something of Reverend Lewis at the Episcopal Church. Somebody sent that as wrote a message on the back. And then this is an older German, I believe, postcard. Really beautiful print, really nice printing with a child with flowers, and a message on that. So that one is a postcard. Over here, we've got a handful more leather postcards. Love is the cherry and the cocktail of happiness. Coming through the rye, here's a guy walking through what it says. It says Kentucky rye barrels, so whiskey. It's pretty cool. This one's got little holes poked all around it. Shakespeare Illustrated. It's a Midsummer Night's Dream. There's a man and a woman getting cozy together. Then we've got something with a person with a telephone, 1907, and then a touching story, paying teller, and I don't know what this is. Like, this is one of those examples of, like, humor that I don't exactly get. Is he upset because he doesn't have any money, or they're not going to give him money? Why is it a touching story? I don't know. And then I've got this lot of, I put these together thematically because it looks like these are carved, almost like totems. I've got a duplicate here of a real picture that has been made. And then I have some others that are later printed ones that are all sort of similar. You've got, and these are all from Alaska. So Alaskan images of these totem type poles here that are colored. Here's a linen example. Again, you can see the striations in it. Really good color on it. And then here's another photograph Lover's Lane in Sitka, Alaska. And so my guess is I'll put these all together because somebody who would be interested in one of these, my guess is would be interested in all the others as well. All right, last few, and I will save the other half. We will have gone through about half. I'll save the other half for next week, so tune in next time for the remainder of these. But this group right here is all scenes of Berkeley, California. You've got like the school here. It looks like 1907 is when this one was sent out. South Hall of Berkeley. Here we have the public library. This is actually not Berkeley. Stanford. Okay, so now we're getting into other universities. So we had Berkeley, now we have Stanford, a bird's eye view. Now we have Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. And then another Stanford scene here. So all universities all in the early 1900s, and so that's why those were put together. This is an interesting lot, all similar ones. Okay, so we've got joint maneuvers of the Army and the Navy, and they are, I guess, cheersing one another. Same thing, this is, I guess, the same card. One's darker than the other. Army field maneuvers, presenting arms. So, a little bit of humor there. Here we are, Army field maneuvers on the firing lane, and I'm trying to see if any of these are postmarked. This one is the last farewell. He's heading off to war, folks. Carry arms. This is a very odd way to hold another person's hands. 1905. Here's to you. Here's another one where they're cheersing. And I've never seen this before. None of these other ones have this. No, this one does. Yeah, just two of them do. This right here where it says, let's see if I can zoom in on that. Put 1 cent stamp over me, and it's this heavy-set man with a cigar. Just thought that's a nice, funny little touch there. And then this last stack that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you, are all U.S. battleship, I believe, and or steamliner, so ship-oriented ones. This is the U.S. battleship Illinois. This is the Bremen, which they're saying is the fastest liner in the world. And I've seen a lot of postcards of ocean liners, and pretty much every one of them boasts being the fastest, just so you know. I don't know which one was, but here is the Hamburg America line, and I don't know how to pronounce these words, but it does says, I believe, President Grant at the back of it, at the end of it. So I thought that was kind of unique. This is the U.S. California, 502 feet, 800 officers, 18 guns. And this was 1908, it looks like. This is the second in a week that I've come across that is showing like a spotlight. One was on a turret of a battleship, and this one looks to be just a searchlight over Los Angeles, California. So it's interesting to me that this was put on a postcard. 1908 as well. Here's the USS Pennsylvania. And this line, I've come across lots and lots of postcards of these, of this type that was just highlighting U.S. warships. Here's the U.S. Monitor Puritan. And I don't know how many of these were in commission for the whole life, or how many of them, you know, end up sinking at different times during wars. But here's one, the AMS Baltic. And this is a different one because this is not a photograph. It is, it's pressed in, as you can see. And it has also an addition of glue and a little bit of glitter on the outside of where it has been colored. Some condition issues. You can see this was clearly in at one time a photo album. And so there's discoloration underneath, or actually more, there was probably this color originally, maybe either that's darkened because of the paper that was on it, or this was bleached out. But you can tell that that was pulled at one point from an old photo album that it had been in for probably decades. And then finally this picture here, and this is, I guess, based on a photograph, but probably was a piece of artwork, and they pressed it in here. But it's of some type of ship, but it does not say what kind, so I'm not exactly sure. These could be sold, certainly ones like these that are similar, they're clearly made in the same series, can be sold together, but others I'll probably sell individually. I'm curious if you have any information on any of these postcards that I displayed today that would help me to identify where they're from or things like that. And I'm curious how you feel like I did, given the fact that I have all of my money back, so these were essentially free to me. I've gone through, let's see here, I've gone all the way through there, the back here. This is everything that I've shown you. So all of this you're going to get to see on next week's video. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching.